Vin Diesel and his goddaughter Meadow Walker shared a touching moment during the Fast and Furious screening at the Cannes Film Festival, where the blockbuster was celebrating its 25th anniversary.
When a beloved family reunites after years apart, emotions run high. But the daughter of a late star might just rewrite the story. Meadow Walker, Paul Walker's daughter, recently joined the Fast and Furious cast for a milestone celebration, sparking more than just nostalgia. Fans expected a heartwarming tribute, yet Meadow's candid words and presence revealed unexpected truths about Vin Diesel's relationship with her father. This isn't merely a fan moment, it's a glimpse into raw emotions and long-held realities shaking one of Hollywood's closest-knit circles in ways few anticipated. The reunion sparks more than memories. The Fast and Furious franchise marked a monumental milestone, bringing together cast members and fans alike to celebrate 25 years of high-speed thrills and unforgettable characters. Among those attending was Meadow Walker, daughter of Paul Walker, whose tragic passing in 2013 left a void hard to fill. This reunion was more than a simple gathering. It became an emotional convergence where past and present collided with a powerful mix of nostalgia and complicated feelings. Meadow's presence triggered not only reminiscence, but also subtle tensions beneath the surface, hinting at stories yet untold. The event happened during the prestigious Cannes Film Festival in France, where the franchise's legacy was sort of shown off with an exclusive screening and then the announcement of a fresh TV series expansion on Peacock. The original cast members, Michelle Rodriguez and Jordana Brewster, were there too, which really added to that whole sense of family built over more than a decade of filming. For Meadow, walking the red carpet beside these very close family friends was kind of personal, because it gave her a chance to step into her father's world and deal with the past that shaped everything. But even with all the glamour and celebration, you could hear these low little whispers of deeper stuff, lingering around the edges like something didn't fully settle. When the cameras flashed and the fans cheered, it started to feel like the bond between Meadow and the cast was getting more noticeable, almost like you can't really pretend it's natural. She was only 15 when Paul Walker died, and still, the folks who worked with him have kept showing up near her, acting like this surrogate kind of family ever since. Their connection doesn't feel staged, not just because of shared projects, but also because there's shared loss underneath it. Still, nothing inside that circle is completely clear-cut, and Meadow's return kind of pulled up questions about the dynamics she inherited, especially when Vin Diesel comes up. He's her father's longtime colleague, and also a close friend of his. This whole gathering brought joy, yeah, but also this quiet unease, like it was hinting that the glossy celebration might soon tip into conversations that feel more revealing. Meadow's presence wasn't only a sign of remembrance either. It seemed to stir up unresolved tensions and bring in newer, sharper angles all at once. Fans and insiders began to wonder if this gathering would open doors to candid reflections about Paul, Vin, and the true story behind their famous friendship. The most significant revelations were still waiting to unfold. Meadow honoring Paul Walker. Since her father's sudden death, Meadow Walker has taken on the delicate task of preserving his memory, carefully balancing public reverence with private grief. When she chose to join the Fast and Furious reunion, it was not simply to relive her dad's legacy, but to actively participate in honoring it. Meadow has expressed a deep-rooted intention to represent Paul authentically, recognizing how much the franchise shaped both their lives. For her, this was a meaningful way to keep her father's spirit alive in a world that often moves too fast to pause. This responsibility has led Meadow to get more involved with the franchise in recent years, like more and more, including making a cameo appearance in the newest movie, Fast X. Her part was on purpose small but still meaningful, more like a quiet nod to her father's impact, not some big spotlight grab. She wanted that moment to feel humble, kind of a tribute, the way the man herself knew Paul to be, showing his modesty while the whole blockbuster world keeps moving around him. And through that cameo, Meadow kinda carved out a subtle but powerful message that Paul Walker's influence lives on, quietly threaded into the series' fabric. Meadow's connection with the cast goes beyond just a simple professional friendship. It's almost like it's more than work, really. A lot of Paul's co-stars also showed up as a kind support circle when she was sorting out adolescence and doing it without her father there with her. That same family feeling got even stronger during rough stretches, especially in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, when Meadow ended up staying with Jordana Brewster in Los Angeles. You can see it in a very real way. The Fast and Furious crew isn't only colleagues. They're more like an extended family kept together by love, grief, and loyalty. Her presence also works like a lens for Paul Walker, not only as an actor, but as a beloved friend and a father figure. Meadow holds that double legacy. She is the daughter still grieving a parent, and also the young woman who moves forward to reclaim her place close to the people who once were her dad's closest allies. This balancing act shapes the narrative at the reunion, setting the stage for deeper revelations about the people who loved and worked with Paul. The cast's support system revealed. From the very beginning, the Fast and Furious cast has been known for a tight-knit dynamic that often blurs the lines between work relationships and genuine friendship. This bond became particularly pivotal for Meadow Walker, following her father's tragic passing at just 15 years old. Instead of drifting away, the cast rallied around her, filling roles that extended far beyond Hollywood scripts. Jordana Brewster, for example, became more than a co-star to Meadow. She was a confidant and a protector during the uncertain days of early lockdown. Meadow's constant pop-ins and those longer stays with Jordana sort of underline how deep their bond actually goes. Once the COVID-19 pandemic really took off, Meadow flew from New York to Los Angeles to live with Jordana, and that really brought out this protective, close-to-family kind of support around her. Sure, it was about safety and just having someone nearby, but it also quietly showed how these ties turn into, like, solid anchor points when everything feels unsettled. Their moments together weren't only casual. There was this feeling of, I belong here, even while the world kept wobbling. And then you have Vin Diesel in the middle of it, which adds yet another confusing but very real layer. He's known as Paul Walker's best friend on and off screen, and Vin has often been seen as a kind of guard dog figure for Meadow too. Still, that closeness doesn't completely erase the complicated emotions that can surface in groups that are this tightly tangled together. When Meadow and Vin interacted during the reunion, it made headlines, and it suggested there's more to their story than what fans have already seen. At times, the warmth looked genuinely easy, but you could also feel this thinner tension sitting under the surface, like it was waiting for the right moment. That whole supportive circle is basically proof of how the cast managed grief, but also growth side by side. Each person stepped in to cover the emotional space left by Paul Walker's absence. And in doing so, they reinforced this family feeling that's lasted for years. Through shared memories and real loyalty that doesn't fade, Meadow found her people, who honored her father not just with speeches, but with everyday acts of kindness, and included her in ways that mattered. In the end, their collective devotion turned the cast into more than co-workers. They became a real source of healing, the kind that you feel over time, not only in interviews. The closeness of this group provides important context as we delve deeper into Meadow's complex personal journey and her evolving relationship with Vin Diesel. The complex relationship with Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker shared a bond forged over 15 years of working side by side on one of Hollywood's most enduring franchises. Their friendship appeared unbreakable, built on a combination of professional respect and personal loyalty. However, beneath that surface lay complicated dynamics that only those closest truly understood. Meadow Walker stepping back into this circle illuminated not just fond memories but also the nuanced reality behind Vin's relationship with her father. Vin has often spoken about Paul as more than a co-star. He referred to him as a brother, someone whose quirks and habits he knew intimately. This deep understanding allowed them to create the on-screen chemistry that fans adored. Yet, long after Paul's tragic death, questions emerged about how Vin handled both the grief and the responsibility of preserving their shared legacy. Meadow's presence, especially at high-profile reunion moments, brought these questions back into sharp focus. The reunion at Cannes, where Meadow and Vin connected publicly, was a moment heavy with meaning. While Vin expressed admiration for Paul's unique spirit, his portrayal of their friendship sometimes clashed with how others close to Paul saw it. Meadow's subtle but deliberate engagement suggested she was re-evaluating Vin's role in her father's life and career. It became clear she was not merely accepting the popular narrative, but weighing her own experience and understanding. This complicated interplay wasn't just about memories, it was about power, legacy, and truth. Meadow's decision to stand beside Vin in public made headlines, but those familiar with the history sensed there was more beneath the smiles and photos. Her nuanced reactions hinted at unresolved feelings, both gratitude and perhaps disappointment, that would only become clearer with time. The reunion highlighted the delicate balance between honoring her father and navigating the realities of a complicated relationship. Vin's influence on the Fast and Furious franchise went way past what you see on screen. He had a real kind of creative pull, and he was often treated like a loose, informal leader of it. That place in the mix sort of gave him a say in how Paul's memory got honored publicly, and also in quieter, private ways. Meadow, though, she had this thoughtful but low-key manner, plus those candid little moments during the reunion. And it made people notice that some of those choices maybe didn't fully match up with her own angle or wishes, not perfectly, anyway. Their whole connection also points to how messy it can be when family and business get tangled together. Vin talked a lot about the family the cast had become, and he used that idea to shape the story around how they were all healing together. Still, family bonds are rarely neat, especially when grief, fame, and different visions all collide at once. Meadow, stepping up as someone looking after Paul's legacy, brought in a voice that wanted honesty, not just devotion. And while Vin described Paul as this one-of-a-kind presence you really can't swap out, Meadow's involvement suggested that honoring him means more than just official statements. It's, in a sense, about admitting the rough edges and working through tensions with love and nerve. Their relationship, whether in mourning or in memory, mirrors how real friendships often are, with layers, not just one flat, simple dimension. That complexity is basically what sets up Meadow's meaningful but modest role in Fast X, where her tribute to her father would carry weight without needing to say anything at all. Meadow's role in the latest film was a testament to how personal grief and public legacy can intertwine. Meadow's appearance in Fast 10. In 2023, Meadow Walker made her first on-screen appearance in the Fast and Furious saga, honoring her father's memory quietly but powerfully. Her cameo in Fast X carried emotional weight far beyond what the camera captured. This wasn't about fame. It was a humble gesture connecting Paul Walker's legacy to the ongoing story of the franchise. By choosing a subtle Easter egg rather than a starring role, Meadow mirrored her father's humility and respect for simplicity. Her brief scene as a bartender was loaded with intention. It symbolized a passing of the torch and marked her personal journey into the franchise. Meadow explained she waited for the right moment, preferring a low-key cameo fans might even miss. This approach respected her father's legacy without overshadowing it, showing that sometimes the smallest gestures carry the deepest meaning. Her presence reminded audiences that Paul Walker's influence extends beyond the screen, and that his family remains connected to the story. The cameo allowed Meadow to claim her place in the narrative while honoring her father authentically. Fast X became more than an action film. It was a bridge between past and present, linking Paul's enduring impact with the franchise's future. Fans and insiders recognized the Easter egg as thoughtful and emotionally resonant, a gift both to Paul's memory and to the audience. Behind the scenes, Meadow's involvement signaled a shift in the Walker family's engagement with the franchise. No longer just observers, they now actively shape how Paul's legacy is honored across films, documentaries, and appearances. This allowed Meadow to pay tribute to her father's humility while keeping his presence alive in the series. Her cameo also highlighted the family-like ties within the cast that persist despite years of change, loss, and growth. Welcomed warmly by many cast members, Meadow's inclusion reinforced the franchise's unofficial motto of loyalty and togetherness. Yet it also reminded viewers that beneath the action, there is a core of real human connection. Meadow's quiet but impactful appearance opened the door for future involvement, showing that the Walker family intends to remain part of the Fast and Furious story for Paul, themselves, and fans worldwide. It was a moment bridging legacy and future, blending personal tribute with cinematic storytelling. As Meadow's presence in the franchise takes on new meaning, the deeper truths about her relationship with Vin Diesel and the memories they share remain a story still unraveling. The unexpected exposure. Meadow Walker's reunion with the Fast and Furious family was expected to be a heartfelt tribute, but it revealed surprising layers in her relationship with Vin Diesel. While their public interactions often showed warmth, Meadow's candid expressions during the milestone celebration hinted at deeper truths. This wasn't just a nostalgic gathering, it was a moment where old dynamics were quietly questioned, capturing the attention of fans and insiders alike. Her presence at the Cannes Film Festival with longtime cast members symbolized more than remembrance. It was a statement of her voice within a legacy often dominated by others. Meadow has evolved from being Paul Walker's daughter into someone willing to highlight complexities in relationships once thought settled. Her emergence subtly challenged the familiar narrative surrounding Vin Diesel and her father. During the event, Meadow's interactions with Vin were cordial but measured, blending respect with reservation. Observers noted subtle cues in body language and conversations, hinting at unspoken tensions and unresolved issues. Their exchange suggested a bond shaped by grief and shared history, yet layered with undercurrents of disappointment. For Meadow, honoring her father means reclaiming his story, acknowledging both love and the uncomfortable realities that come with it. This situation kind of mirrors the whole problem of mixing a public persona with private feelings, especially when you have this close-knit group that's kind of living under the shadow of tragedy. Vin Diesel's big role in the franchise and his public statements about Paul Walker's importance kind of built a story that a lot of people took at face value, like no real second thoughts. Then Meadow's open involvement comes in and messes with it a little, like she's saying the legacy part is not simple, and it has to be handled with straight-up honesty, no soft lighting. Her presence basically forces everyone to admit the full landscape of what happened, not just the warm recollections, but also the tougher realities. And the whole exposure here isn't only about personal bonds. It also points out how authority, power, and influence end up steering what gets told, and how Hollywood packages it. Vin's influence over the series, and how that shapes its memory, has been substantial, often pushing a more controlled version of Paul's contributions. Meadow stepping forward throws a wrench in that, and you can feel the generational, emotional shift, like the tone is changing. She's kind of the start of a new chapter that refuses to smooth over the complexities just to keep things convenient or to protect an image. This candid honesty sort of transforms the reunion from a simple homage into a real platform for authentic expression. Meadow's courage to speak through presence and small, subtle actions kind of nudges others to rethink the often told tale. It admits that grief, friendship, and loyalty are rarely ever free from conflict or ambiguity. Her role shifts the whole conversation away from mythologizing the past and toward engaging with it in a more complete, more human way. And the effect of this exposure doesn't stop with the immediate fans or cast members. It reaches farther into how legacies are honored, especially when the people closest are in demand for transparency, even while everyone is still wrapped up in reverence and respect. Meadow's journey shows the difficult but necessary path of balancing tribute with truth. It reminds us that behind every public memory, there are these private stories still waiting in line to be told. Meadow Walker's reunion with the Fast and Furious family revealed more than just celebration. It exposed hidden layers in her connection with Vin Diesel. Her courageous presence shows that a true legacy is built on both love and honesty. If this story gave you new insights, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's untold stories. And watch the next video on the screen to uncover even more surprising revelations.